All right, moving on to the next keynote, founded way back in 1998, a name that it's very favorable, very familiar with Indians for local classifieds. For Sulekha, let me call upon Satya Prabhakar.
Thank you all very much for your attention. So I really enjoy speaking at events like this because I get something which I don't get either at work or at home, an audience that listens. So I'll take most of this speech trying to explain to you the opportunity that is presented by local services. We have many people have explained this morning about the large number of digital users, about 200 million to 350 million. And equally interesting is about a large number of local service businesses that are about 8 million and going to about 11 million, right? While all the attention is grabbed by e-commerce companies, an equal amount of about $200 billion worth of local services are consumed across India, and roughly about $2.5 billion is spent by various local businesses to promote their services across the thing. Also little known is the fact that a directed user, a user who comes with an intent to buy something, is proven by numbers is worth about 20 to 100 times more than a Facebook user. And that monetization is based upon what the other side, the stakeholder, is willing to pay for that, a unit of that user's attention, right? All right. So among all the media, about $32 billion is spent in India on media advertising, of which only the digital media is the one that has been growing at an impressive rate. And within that digital media, if you look at the local response advertising versus national display advertising, the local one is growing 2 times faster than the national display advertising. So this whole digital local commerce, which is enabling local service transactions using digital media, is the one that is at the intersection of these two mega trends of digital and local, right? And if you look at this local business, you know, about 25 to 30% of the local businesses die every year, right? And the rate of mortality is pretty high. And the reason it is high is for one simple reason, that many of these local businesses don't know how to procure customers, right? They don't have a retail presence, they don't have a brand, there's no name recognition, right? When I say local services, I'm talking about food caterers, right? Movers and packers, people who do flooring, paint walls, right? Yoga instructors, long distance education, overseas counseling, so on and so forth, right? So they need multiple things. They need local targeting, because these are not national businesses. This is not an Airtel that sponsors the IPL, right? This guy can only serve in one city. Actually, many of them can only serve in one location, right? And they need targeting. In a sense, if you are a distance counselor who was trying to counsel for overseas education, you really have no need to promote your service to somebody who's looking to get their floors done, right? You're very targeted by need and by location, and you can only spend about 10,000 to 20,000 rupees for 3 months to promote your service, right? For 15,000 rupees, your local radio station salesperson won't even offer you a cup of tea, because the kind of businesses they serve is a much larger businesses, right? And for the small amounts that they're paying, for which they want local targeting and they want need targeting, they want response guarantees. They want to be able to see that advertising convert into business. So these are very, very demanding customers who don't pay a lot. But the good thing about them is that they are huge in number. They're about 8 million to 12 million. And the second thing that is interesting about them is per unit of user attention, they pay top dollar, right? And this whole local services thing has gone along 3 dimensions, has gone through 3 inflection points. And these inflection points are very dangerous inflection points because companies can, get lost in that inflection points. The first one is the kind of medium is an ad-driven one, where you put ads and wait for people to respond, and that is moving to listings. An ad-driven one is like a Craigslist or an OLX, where there's a stream of flowing ads that came through, right? And the second one is more curated listings, where you have detailed information about the businesses, and you have some ratings and reviews and so on and so forth, right? Those are the listings, which is the most famous example of listings is Yelp, right? And then comes the next level, which is need fulfillment, which says that, you don't search, you tell me what you want and I'll help you find it for you, right? And in the media, we are inflecting from print to web to mobile. And the last one is what people are paying for, which is advertising. The next one is qualified leads. And the next one is actually transaction consummation. So these 3 things, if you look at it, need fulfillment on the mobile and enabling transaction consummation are the mega trends that are going to shape this local services industry for a long time to come. But it's a very complicated one. I'll tell you why. If you are looking for, let's say, a home caretaker for an aged parent who is invalid, right? Now, you have that need is a very, very qualified need. It is very location specific. You need somebody who's got medical training, right? You need somebody who will be 24/7, right? And the fact that if you are in Anna Nagar, the fact that there is such a person in Andheri in Bombay is of no value to you, right? So every location and every category is a marketplace by itself. And in that marketplace, you need to find a critical balance of both the supply and the demand. The supply is the businesses willing to serve, and the demand is consumers who want it. And to be able to maintain this balance across perhaps 25,000, 30,000 categories is a very, very challenging and demanding and painful job, right? And the way to do that is the first slide that was shown at the beginning, the software is eating up the world. Really, you don't own the user, nor do you own the service provider, right? But what you do provide is the infrastructure and the software in the middle that does a variety of things. One, which is to understand and help the user capture the need. Okay, sorry. Which is that what exactly do you want, right? And second one is similarly profile the businesses so that you can do real-time matching between the need and the business, right? Provide reports to the business, provide reports to the user, and most importantly, how much do you price the service, right? If you have an interior decorator in actually Bombay versus a wall painter in Ajmer, right? The interior decorator in Bombay pays you about 20 times more for lead than the wall painter in Ajmer. And to know that is intelligence also that is needed. So the real thing is in the middle, right? The conquering the complexity and to harnessing the value potential of each location segment is where the real action is in this whole thing, right? So for example, I'm just showing you a couple of things as to how we do it. What we've done is that we went and analyzed about 80 to 100 million needs that the people have specified over the last, we started in India roughly in 2007. In the last 6-7 years, we have understood. I'll show you an example, right? Is to help the user capture the need, right? Similarly on the app. For example, if you look at this one, AC air conditioner installation repair, right? We went back and looked at what do people ask for when they want their AC to be repaired. The important thing is what kind of an AC it is, what kind of a brand it is, where is it needs to be installed. So we have distilled this user understanding into a specific set of 3 to 4 questions that we quickly ask, and the user types it, and then bang, he presses it, and that's where he leaves it, right? And this we have done it for about 800 to 900 different types. And therein lies the ease with which the user can specify the need. And then what we do is that we go and also profile the businesses so that the matching happens in an algorithmic manner between those two things. And almost immediately within a minute or so, you will get a response, right? You can imagine the joy, right? If you and my wife complains all the time about this, you don't know how difficult it is to find maids. I keep telling her, you don't know how difficult it is to find iOS programmers, and right? So that fight we succeed. But the thing is, imagine if the maid says, you know, I'm quitting, right? You go open your app and you ask, it takes 18 seconds to say, I want a Hindi-speaking maid who comes in the mornings and does these things, and you put the phone down, and within perhaps 2 minutes and 3 minutes, right, you find a maid that you want. That is joy, right? I'm not saying that we do that in all the cases, but the goal, the Eldorado is to be able to take the pain out of searching and calling and going these things, right? And so what we have done is we have built a generic computational model through which any need can be parameterized into a set of questions, and algorithmically it can be matched, right? So on and so forth. It's not a very sexy app in terms of there's no girls wearing colorful dresses and all, but this is an ad about very utilitarian services. And then you have, for the user, immediately you get businesses that can provide the services that you want, and similarly for the business, you get a detailed need. Imagine the joy also for the business, right? Here is the guy sitting in the middle of nowhere, right? Nobody knows him. And he's sitting with his app, and ta-dang comes a need, freshly minted need about 8 seconds ago. He knows the user. He knows it's an authenticated user. He knows what exactly the user wants, where the user is located, and he can correspond back to the user to provide the service, right? And similarly, they can chat with each other. So really, the idea is the value proposition for the user is very simple, which is to make life easy, right? Where you don't need to search businesses, you don't need to do anything. You tell me what you want, takes less than 20 seconds, and I'll find you the right businesses to be able to do that. And for the business, it's an equally compelling value proposition to make business grow, to help his business grow, right? And therein lies the value. But it is an extremely difficult thing because we are talking about literally tens and thousands of locations. So while the opportunity is immense and it is largely untapped yet in India, it takes a lot of complexity in the back end and also a nationwide sales and service infrastructure. So I'll take 3 slides to sell the company. I think somebody said an entrepreneur must always be selling. So I'll use that advice. So we have, for example, we have about 16 offices across the country. And this is the painful one. I think one gentleman we see from Kalari mentioned that a sales and marketing savvy is needed. You know, we actually operate about 1,000 salespeople across the country. It's no walk in the park managing this, because the local business is very suspicious because it is his own money, and he needs to be convinced about what is the value proposition that comes. Second also is that behind the simplicity of just, you know, your aunt opening the app and telling what maid she wants in 15 seconds, there is an extraordinary amount of technology and intelligence that need to be built to be able to satisfy that. And even in that case, in about 40 to 50% of the time, we fail to deliver the right result for the consumer, given the challenge that the service provision is not in your control. It is being done by various service providers across the country. And this also requires an enormous amount of capital because there is a lot of investment that needs to be done. And for example, we are have spent, we have raised close to about $50 million from various investors, from very reputed investors. And that also is, somebody said, fundraising is a very, very difficult and challenging job. So that's sort of the summary of this local services opportunity and how it can be very simplified using technology and other things on the mobile. And thank you very much. And we're hiring, so please take down my number. And I'll be happy to answer any questions you may have. Thank you.
All right, thank you very much, Satya, for that quick take through for what you've been doing for so long. I wish you all the best. And if you do have any questions, you can always catch Satya around. I'm sure you're there around. Yeah? Just catch